Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga. This time, the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum arc. Which, I know it's initially Diamond and Pearl arc, and then it goes into the Platinum arc. But Viz kind of squished it a little bit together, because apparently there's a manga called Diamond and Pearl Adventures, and they didn't want to get that all mixed up together. Not to mention the Platinum arc is only like 3 volumes, so I can understand that. Might as well just keep it all together for consistency. And last time we checked out the Pokemon Rangers manga, the second of the 2 games adaptations, mostly because the Pokemon Rangers story is done by the same team that works on this series here. And they've had kind of loose connections. The Manaphy egg is headed towards, I guess, the character who plays Dawn Platinum, I believe? At least that's what I got from the end of that storyline, the first of the Rangers comics. And then the second Rangers comics had Darkrai, who seems to be headed towards Sinnoh, so I guess Darkrai will also be encountering our protagonist. Fingers crossed, one of my favorites. But we had the end of the Emerald arc, where our Pokédex holders who were not petrified went to go free the ones who were in the battle against Surd, who, as it turns out, was a member of none other than Team Galactic and was behind the return of Archie. Yes, he and Maxie were on the verge of death, but somehow in some kind of weird space-time rift or whatever, which, those things exist in the Pokemon world, so you never know, somehow bestowed an enchanted armor that would keep Archie's body from dissipating, and a sword that could reflect all attacks. Where did she get them? How did she get them? I hope we'll find out at some point. So yeah, this arc is gonna be front-ended with so many plot lines, but thanks to the young boy Emerald, the 10th Pokédex holder, making a pure-hearted wish upon Jirachi, he was able to free the petrified Pokédex holders, and they were all able to come together to stop a artificially created Kyogre made out of water from destroying the battle frontier, unleashing the most powerful of attacks on this beast. They were able to pop it like a water balloon. While Archie's armor was destroyed and he disappeared. But before he did, Crystal tried to interrogate him about where he got all this stuff he had from. He almost dropped the name of Team Galactic in full, but it's unclear if they actually caught the name. The Pokédex holders had one big competition that I'm not sure, but it seems like Emerald won, while Todd Snap has been enlisted by Professor Oak to head to Pokemon Island and take some pictures. I don't know, that seems like that would be a fun game. Jirachi has gone into his millennium-long sleep, and Crystal and Professor Oak have gotten contact with Professor Rowan, leading into this storyline here. Now, I have been informed by Steven over on Patreon, feel free to join up so you can see uncut videos, that the timeline of events now starts to go in a bit of a free-form direction, which is understandable. It did kind of feel like we were hitting the limit on how many Pokédex holders we could have in one place during given situations, and to keep things so confined to a set timeline was definitely gonna get out of hand. So, I guess it's the last we see of certain characters too, specifically Yellow, which I'm kind of sad to hear, but never say never. So join me as I find out what happens next, won't you? Alright, Pokemon Adventures Diamond and Pearl with Platinum 2, Volume 1. Though technically this is Pokemon Adventures Volume 30, just so you know. I also love their Pokédexes. They make me think of DS's. Alright, let's jump in. It's also weird, because Lucas is one thing, having him named something else is fine, but Dawn being named Platinum, it's the same thing with May being Sapphire, and I know Pearl as Berry, so let's see if they can make me, get more accustomed to seeing them as different characters. They've done it so far. All the professors and the Pokédexes. Our story so far is like so short too. It's just like, forget all that other stuff. That doesn't matter here. Here's some of the professors you only need to know about Rowan. See, despite them, starting from one and, starting from the first chapter and all that, it's still the 7th chapter and the journeys of Pokemon and all that. Oh god, she's a little Ojo-sama. A butler approaches a very elaborate bed where a young girl is waking up in the morning as he says, "Good morning, my lady." The young girl says, "Good morning, Sebastian." Sebastian says, "I prepared your outfit for today. It's on the casual side, yet highly fashionable." The young lady says, "Oh, thank you." The man walks out saying, "If you'll excuse me," and he shuts the door. The young girl walks towards the window saying, "What beautiful weather," as we see Platinum say, "Just perfect for a special day like this." Oh, yeah, she is. She is not the Dawn I know. Oh, nice little splash page of things. So I do wonder, how does she fit in with these two goofballs? Got a Munchlax. Munchlax kind of looks a little different than what I'm used to. Like his ears are kind of spaced apart weirdly. You got the starters, Turtwig, Piplup and Chimchar, and a Chatot and Professor Rowan. Alright, Platinum approaches a little jewelry box, saying, "These rings will suit the occasion too. On my right hand, a perfect pearl, and on my left hand, a flawless diamond. Diamond and pearl on a platinum." Alright, chapter 1, Stage Struck Starly. Oh god, they're a comedy duo? Really? Wait, they're not even Pokemon trainers? We pick up in Jubilife City in the Sinnoh region at the Laugh Your Heart Out Next Generation Comedy Grand Prix, where announcer says, "Please welcome entry number 1, a comedy duo from Twin Leaf Town. Give it up for Pearl and Diamond." And we see Pearl come out with his Chatot and Diamond come out with his Munchlax. Okay, the Munchlax is okay. Interesting. The announcer says, "Pearl and Diamond will now perform their skit entitled The Three Gyarados." And we see in some fake brush Pearl looking around saying, "At last we made it to Lake Verity. Could there be any truth to the rumors that 3 Gyarados are lurking here?" So is he talking about the Lake Guardians, or am I thinking of a different lake? Where he says, "Could there be any truth to the rumor that 3 Gyarados are lurking here?" Chatot says, "Lurking, lurking." The controversial Pokemon that, because it could repeat what you say into the little mic, so each Chatot could say something different. You got a lot of Chatot that said some, not PG or PG-13 words going into fight. Barry sees a rustling in the brush and says, "Oh, I see something moving in the grass." He thinks to himself, "Excellent. Everyone's following the script closely. Now all that's left is a scene where my Chatler blows aside the grass and reveals Dia, and Munchlax in their Magikarp costumes. And that's when I'll make my move." Where in his imagination he says, "Those aren't 3 Gyarados, those are pre-Gyarados." That's silly. Barry thinks, "Perfect comedic timing. Now's that's your cue. Chatler, blow away the grass." And Chatot does it with Fury Attack, only to reveal Munchlax going to town on some rice balls. I'm gonna call him Barry. Pearl is stunned, saying, "Huh?" And as Diamond comes up, he says, "Oh, there you are. Taking a snack break. Guess I'll grab a bite too." And he just starts eating along with Munchlax. Oh no. I keep wanting to call him Barry. Pearl says, "There's no time for snacking. We're in the middle of a performance." Well, Diamond says, "I'm not a very realistic Magikarp, am I? More like a Munchikarp." Barry's completely taken off guard. And that joke hits the crowd hard. Like, it's more like they're just like, "Oh, that was cringy." Pearl drags Diamond away with the rice balls, which causes Munchlax to fall as he says, "Intermission!" In a park, Pearl says, "What's the big idea, Dia?" Diamond still going at it with his friggin' rice balls. I swear, he and his munchlax are too much of the same. Diamond says, huh? What are you so steamed about, Pearl? Pearl says, don't play dumb with me. Why didn't you follow the script? And how come you're still chowing down? Diamond says, can't help it. Hungry, right, Lax? Happy little munchlax. Diamond explains, when we exited the stage to put on our Magikarp costumes, the staff food cart was right there. Before I knew it, Lax was headed straight for it. I tried to catch it, but it's so dark backstage. It's not all bad. The audience was laughing. Pearl says, you've got a point there. They loved your ad-libbing as if they were laughing at us, not with us. God, next time, stuff your face before you go on stage. Diamond says, you're the one who shook me awake and said we had to skip breakfast to rehearse. And Munchlax gives a yawn. Pearl, with tears in his eyes, says, I can't believe you. After all the practice we've done to prepare for this day, you blew our one chance to showcase our material to the Comedy Grand Prix judges. Suddenly there's a roar in the auditorium. There we go. There's the word. And Pearl looks dejected, saying, and now some other performers are getting a standing ovation. We don't have a chance. Hear that? They're laughing their heads off. Chatot tries his best to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Comfort Pearl, only for Pearl to turn and see Diamond fast asleep, food in his hands and on his face, sleeping with his munchlax. Pearl grabs him, saying, are you listening to me, Dia? This is serious. Diamond wakes up as Pearl explains, saying, are you going back on the promise we made way back in nursery school? Look, dude, it's nursery school, man. It don't always work like that. On that fateful day when we caught the acting bug, the day we saw Abbott Clef and Costello Jiggly, really, perform the show they brought all the way from Johto to Sinnoh, and we vowed we'd form a comedy troupe, and that's why we stuck together all this time. Spent all these years rehearsing. You aren't breaking your promise, are you? And Diamond says with a dopey smile, no way. An overjoyed Pearl says, good. No use moping about today, then. We've got to think positive and focus on our next opportunity. Now let's start practicing for next month's comedy tournament. Diamond says, right now? As he's dragged off by Pearl. Pearl says, okay, you act stupid, then I'll hit you. Diamond says, huh? Pearl says, but first, put down that snack. He smacks a rice ball out of Diamond's hands as Diamond says, what? Oh my God. There's a couple of chuckleheads. Okay, let's see how this goes. So, see, this is very different because unlike with Ruby and Sapphire, where you get a battler and a coordinator, are we skipping over Pokemon contests? Because if it's all about acting, and oddly enough, what generation had the situation where Sabrina became like an actor or something? It's kind of weird how, once again, the Pokemon Adventures manga kind of predicted something before it happened. But it's not like that didn't happen in the Pokemon anime too. We see the young Miss Pearl putting on her very signature outfit, a very short skirt, which, kids. Sebastian says, very chic, milady. Pearl says, Platinum's her name. Platinum says, thank you, Sebastian. Sebastian starts to get emotional, saying, oh, goodness me. Platinum questions, what's the matter? Sebastian says, nothing, my dear, only it saddens me so that I won't be seeing you for quite some time. Platinum says, please don't cry. As she makes her way for the door, Sebastian follows, saying, I can't let you go. A single step outside this mansion will put you in a world of danger. Platinum says, you worry too much, Sebastian. 2 escorts have already been arranged for me, right? I probably won't even need them. Sebastian says, of course you'll need them. I cannot allow anything untoward to happen to you. Oh, that I know the word untoward, but having it in that context kind of threw me for a second. His voice makes me think of the way it's speaking. It makes me think of the one dude from Spy Family who's constantly saying elegant. It's positively elegant. The young Miss Platinum is very elegant. She must be protected at all costs. He says, your escorts are professional bodyguards. Their training is the of the highest caliber. They are prepared to lay down their lives for you. They will be at your side without fail, all the way up to the peak of Mount Cornet. Oh God, he even kind of looks like you just take away you take away his glasses and give him a monocle, and it'd be the same dude from Spy Family. Platinum says, I'm to meet them outside the Jubilife condominiums, is that right? Sebastian says, indeed, you'll recognize them by their red and green scarves. Oh, that's how the mix-up comes in. Yeah, okay, I can tell where this is going. There had to be some way that she ended up going with Diamond and Pearl, and she'll think it's fate because I'm wearing a diamond and I'm wearing a pearl and yada yada yada. Gotcha. Platinum with her bevy of bags says, got it. Well, I'm off then. And Sebastian with tears waves saying, oh please, do be careful, my lady. Oh, dang. And she is equipped. Wait, she already has Pokédexes? Huh. As Platinum makes her way down the long driveway, she says, phew, finally free. Sebastian's concern is touching, but he worries too much. Don't you agree? Come on out now. As she opens up her big suitcase that has Pokédexes. What are the little devices there? Pokétech? Oh, I mean, yeah, I do remember Dawn having that. Okay, I didn't remember the name. Pokétech. Okay, interesting. And Pokéballs? Does she have, like, all the starters, too? Wait, are we not going to meet Professor Rowan? Oh, Platinum brings out Piplup. Huh, and I guess we're starting this off very different. We have Pearl shouting, speaking of Pokemon. Diamond says, speaking of Pokemon. Pearl says, you gotta raise them, catch them, and battle them. Diamond says, that's right. Pearl then says, so what's your specialty? Raising, catching, or battling? Diamond says, good question. I have to go with acquiring. Aqua Ring. And Pearl smacks her saying, that's an attack move, silly. Pearl then says, speaking of attacks, there's a lot of them. Diamond says, there sure are. Pearl questions, what's your favorite? Diamond says, soft-boiled egg bomb, eggs over easy, sunny side up. God damn it. Pearl smacks him saying, sounds like you just like eggs. He runs off saying, fantastic, we got a good rhythm going. One more run through and then... Diamond says, oh, Pearl, can't we take a break? My cheeks are killing me. Diamond hangs on to Pearl saying, let's worry about next month's tournament next month. Pearl says, no way, while Chatot repeats, no way. No way. While Pearl says, the only way to avoid messing up like last time is to practice. Someone then comes running up. Oh, Danny the producer, saying, oh, there you are. You're Diamond and Pearl, right? I've been looking all over for you. Oh, he is from the game. Interesting. Well, Danny the producer. Pearl says, huh? Danny the producer? What's up? Danny says, the judges just finished tallying up the scores, and they've chosen you two for the special merit prize. Diamond and Pearl look at each other saying, what? They race off with Danny. Danny saying, I guess your, odd sense of humor left quite an impression on them. Can't for the life of me understand why. Come on, let's get to the award ceremony before it's too late. He hands them an envelope saying, here, this travel coupon is part of the merit prize. Take it on stage with you. He sends them off saying, hurry, everyone's waiting for you. They race off saying, yes, sir, as they make their way through the crowd, bumping several people. Pearl says, hurry up, Dia. Diamond says, Pearl, watch where you're going. As Pearl runs into someone. Oh, it's Professor Rowan. And an assistant? Rowan's got a bit of an attitude, I remember. Oh, God. So, yeah, Rowan, his assistant, Pearl and Diamond are all in a heap. Pearl says, Ash, that hurt. Rowan shouts, what are you thinking running through a crowd like that? Pearl and bows and forces Diamond to do so as well, saying, yikes, we're so sorry, but we're in a big hurry. Chatot repeats, so sorry. And then Pearl thinks to himself, what a tough old geezer. He tells Rowan, please excuse us, and they race off. Rowan picks up his work, saying, kids these days. Well, his assistant says, are you okay, Professor? Rowan says, after traveling all this way back to the Sinnoh region, I didn't expect so much commotion. His assistant says, it's a special occasion. Everyone's gathered here for the Jubilife TV Comedy Grand Prix. Rowan says, well, I suppose these crowds will make it easier for your daughter to slip away unnoticed on her journey. Oh, is that Platinum's dad? Huh. Interesting. I don't think we ever saw Don's dad in the anime. I'm pretty sure we never saw Don's dad in the anime. Yeah, no, just her mother, Joanna. I hear you, Joanna. I'm sorry, certain names just trigger certain songs in my mind. Shout out to any Sweeney Todd fans out there. So, okay, I guess I should learn this guy's name, because he's not just an assistant. It's Mr. Berlitz. Mr. Berlitz. Okay. Mr. Berlitz says nothing. He just kind of pauses. Rowan says, "You're awfully somber. Are you worried about your daughter embarking on such a perilous trip? And what's so perilous? Isn't it just a Pokemon journey? Or is she on a mission?" Mr. Berlitz says, "This quest is a long-standing family tradition." Oh, family tradition. Rowan says, "Ah, yes. The Berlitz family have certainly distinguished themselves as citizens of the Sinnoh region over the last 200 years. Davis. Okay. 200 years. Hey, you not only have a thriving family business, but count scholars amongst your relation. Oh, those who are destined to inherit the Berlitz family fortune wear special emblems bearing the family crest, and that emblem is made of a material that must be personally gathered from the very peak of Mount Cornet." From the peak of Mount Cornet? Yeah, Mount Cornet is very prominent in the anime and games. Not looking too deeply into it, but featured in several episodes of the anime and even in the Journey series too. Okay, very big plot point. Okay, which makes sense if that's her final destination. And I hope she doesn't end up in a final destination situation. And now is her time to seek it. You and your daughter have helped me tremendously with my Pokemon research. For that, I am deeply grateful. Okay, so she was already working as an assistant. Wait, so she's the assistant rival character and the protagonist character merged into one? Because usually the opposition is a rival, and they're usually like, I don't know, an assistant to the professor or the professor's child. Hold on. Okay, going through the plot of the game, Platinum would be more like the non-player character, which makes a lot of sense. She already has her Pokemon and all the items and stuff like that. So, just like usual, we kind of switched around some roles. But it seems like, despite the fact that Diamond and Pearl's roles are kind of similar to in the game, instead of them watching TV and taking an interest in Pokemon, they take an interest in comedy? That's an interesting direction to go in. I wonder why they chose to go in this direction. Regardless, Rowan says, "But don't you think..." Oh no, Mr. Berlitz, I think, says this, despite the fact that it kind of looked like it's coming from Rowan. I think Mr. Berlitz says, "But don't you think this journey is perhaps a little premature?" Rowan questions, "There's no age limit on when you complete the quest, is there?" Mr. Berlitz says, "There isn't. However, she was adamant about going now. How could I hold my high-spirited daughter back? I talked it over with our butler, Sebastian. He suggested I assign 2 bodyguards to watch over her." Rowan says, "Yes, she's mentioned that. Well, she was kind enough to promise to gather data on any Pokemon who crossed their path. In fact, I asked her for 2 favors. I am determined to learn as much as possible about Sinnoh's Pokemon. In addition to a Pokedex to record any Pokemon sightings, I gave her a Pokemon whose evolution we'd like to monitor, as well as a Pokemon Watch with special programs installed by the Poketech company. I had these 3 items sent as a set directly to your mansion. I even prepared a set for her to escort." Mr. Berlitz says, "As efficient as ever, Professor. Speaking of which, the bodyguards should be arriving shortly." And the bodyguards approach, saying, "We're already here. Just keep walking. Don't draw attention." That's the very threatening thing to say. Mr. Berlitz says, "Inside this envelope..." Okay, that's where the mix-up comes in. When they bumped into each other, envelopes got switched. Very classic. "Inside this envelope, you'll find the rendezvous point with my daughter, a map of her route, and other particulars of your mission." The bodyguards say, "Understood." Mr. Berlitz hands over the envelope, saying, "Take good care of her for me." The bodyguards say, "Will do, sir." and they take off like friggin' ninjas. No wonder they have the scarves. Mr. Burlett says, it's certainly reassuring to know they'll accompany her. Rowan says, yes, now let's get to the research lab. Meanwhile, back over at the little venue for the comedy Grand Prix, an announcer says, time to present the Special Merit Prize. The award goes to entry number 1, Diamond and Pearl. And Diamond and Pearl raise their fists in the air, cheering. As they exit the stadium, Pearl says, we did it. I'll remember this moment as long as I live. The prize is a travel ticket, right? Open it up, Dia. Diamond says, okay. As they open it up, they see very specific instructions. Destination, the peak of Mount Cornet. Departure date, April 22nd, 5 p.m. Rendezvous point, Jubilife Condominiums. Mission, bodyguards. Compensation, 10 million? Pearl says, a trip to Mount Cornet? That's really far away. While Diamond says, this is even better than first place. That cash prize was only 1 million. They hop around hugging each other, saying, we must have really entertained them. While Danny's watching, saying, those two look awfully smug. I wonder why. The prize is only a measly pair of free tickets for a bicycle tour around San Gem Park. Which, I'm not sure how the bodyguards are gonna take in all of that. Okay, and pick up at 5 p.m. at the Jubilife Condominiums, where Platinum has arrived, saying, this must be the spot. It seems my escorts haven't arrived yet. As she and her Piplup look around. Okay, so she does have the other Pokemon. Okay. As Platinum opens up her briefcase with the other 2 Pokédex, Pokeballs, and I don't know why I'm having such a hard time saying this. I can get all the other words so easily. Pokédexes. There we go. My brain. No worky. But Platinum looks to Piplup saying, now that you're my partner, Professor Rowan says the other 2 will be assigned to my bodyguards. Let's say hello, shall we? And she brings out Turtwig and Chimchar. She hands over the Pokédex and Pokétex, saying, 2 gentlemen will be arriving soon. You may pick whichever one you prefer. Oh, that's interesting. He then spots 2 figures moving towards her, saying, huh? A green scarf and a red scarf? That must be them. As she spots Diamond and Pearl. Diamond says, Pearl, there's something strange about this. Why would we have to depart on the same day as we got our prize? And what's all this stuff about missions? I thought this was a vacation. And how come we get 10 million Poke for having fun? Wait, the currency is called Poke? Okay, you know what? No wonder I got confused. It's Poke this, Poke that, Poke whatever. Which makes sense. It's a Pokemon world. It's in the song. We all live in a Pokemon world. I get it, but Jeebus. God. It's like with the Smurfs. It's like, we get 10 million Smurfs for this. Smurfing right. Like, I guess it's all in the context of how you use it. But Pearl says, Dia, you're such a nincompoop. And Chatot repeats, nincompoop. Pearl says, haven't you ever seen those reality TV shows with candid cameras? Diamond goes, And Pearl whispers, they probably want to catch the look of surprise on our face when we find out what's really going on. There could be cameras on us as we speak. Diamond looks around saying, what? Where? Pearl grabs and whispers, don't be so obvious. Now that we're at the designated place, something funny is bound to happen. In comes Turtwig and Chimchar with the Pokédexes. As Pearl says, like right now. Their hands touch the Pokédexes, which register it to them. And as Chimchar is grabbing onto Pearl's face, he says, ow, give us a break. And he whispers over to Diamond saying, come on, Dia, give them a dramatic reaction. And Dia, with the Turtwig on his face and just flopping around on the ground. But then he peeks out from behind Turtwig because of the close proximity of the Pokédexes. They start doing their beeping thing. And who should he see? None other than Platinum Burlitz. Which is weird to actually have a last name to someone else in this series. Not too many characters have last names. Oh, and Diamond is immediately smitten, thinking, wow, he's pretty, so elegant, so refined, like a real-life princess. While Pearl is still flailing around, he says, ouch, what the heck is going on here? And he whispers, psst, Dia, don't just stand there. Pearl hits a tree, and something comes out of the brush. Oh, it's a horde of Starly. right? That's her name, right? Starly? Yeah, oh, it's the Horde of Starly. You rustled the brush, and Starly are on the attack. Diamond says, a flock of Starly! While Pearl says, oh no, they're in attack formation. And a voice calls out from behind, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and drive them away. Turtwig, Chimchar start going in. Oh, well, Munchlax and Chatot barely managed themselves, but they managed to deal with all the Starly. While Diamond and Pearl are exhausted. Pearl saying, who is that girl? Is she our tour guide or something? Oh, Platinum is completely aghast at what she's just seen. She thinks to herself, it took them nearly half an hour to get rid of them all. These bodyguards look the same age as me. Has there been a mix-up of some sort? Of course not. After all, Father and Professor Rowan made the arrangements. This must be a tactic to help camouflage us as friends on an outing. God. Oh my god. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. I look forward to the point where they catch on to what's really going on here. But Platinum approaches them and says, tell me your names. Your code names to be precise. Anything's fine, just something to call you by. Diamond says, I'm Dia, short for Diamond. And Pearl says, and I'm Pearl. Platinum turns away saying, very well then. Pearl says, huh? Getting angry. He goes to grab her saying, hey, hold on. When you ask someone's name, you gotta tell them yours. But Platinum smacks away his hand, saying, Sebastian always admonished me not to reveal my name to commoners. Oh god. What a way of saying things. Pearl gets angry saying, commoners, while his Chatot angrily repeats, commoners, 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 while Diamond is just still smitten. Platinum brings out her Ponyta and says, now let's be on our way up to the peak of Mount Cornet. And she rides off, the three starters in the front. Diamond and Pearl follow in the back with their Pokemon. It's interesting. Meanwhile, at Sand Gem Park, the two bodyguards who were supposed to be with her are on the seesaw just hanging around saying, "You sure is late." The other says, "Yep." Oh boy. Okay then. So they all have 2 Pokemon each. Oh, they just call her the lady? Wait, does she not officially call out her actual name until like the end or something? Oh, and she's collecting the badges. Wait, why is she collecting the badges? I thought she just had to go to the top of Mount Cornet. Why is she getting badges though? That's my question. Like, okay, I get it. But, I mean, this is like a mission for her family. 200 years in the making and all that. How long have gym badges been the thing? Never actually thought about that. I guess it would make sense to a certain degree, because some gym leaders, gyms go back to their grandparents' time. So I guess that could make a bit of sense. So she has to get the gym badges, travel to the top of Mount Cornet, but she's not competing in the Pokemon League though, right? Then again, Sapphire didn't compete in the Pokemon League when she got all of her badges. She didn't even go to be the champion, despite the fact that she got all the badges. That is weird. But then again, how would you really hold anything when, the whole region's been submerged or scorched? Yeah. Dang, I didn't even think about that towards the end of things. No wonder the end of that felt a little off to me. Well, the lady has a Piplup, who's female, and a Ponyta that's male. And we have Pearl, who has Chimchar, male, and Chatot, which is male. Diamond has Turtwig, which is male, and Lax, who is male. Okay, interesting. All right, Chapter 2, A Bevy of Bidoof. Oh god, it's the Bidoof. Introduced to Big Bad Bidoof. What the heck? Is this a friggin' Super Sentai series? We hear some kind of theme music. Speeding across the land, soaring across the sky, combining to become Pro Team Omega. Take down the demon brioche, take it down. Hooray, 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 Pro Team Omega! And we have Diamond singing it in their hotel room, where Pearl is on the bed saying, something doesn't add up. Let's review. First, what is this thing? She called it, Pokeflex? Pokérex? And then he brings up the 2 stars they got, saying, the second we arrived at the rendezvous point, these 2 Pokemon appeared and pressed our fingers against this doohickey. Our guide was carrying one too. Then all of a sudden the 3 doohickeys started beeping at the same time. All the while, Munchlax is eating while Diamond is just having all kinds of reactions to the show. Pearl then says, pay attention, quit snacking and turn off that stupid cartoon. Diamond says, it's not nice to yell, Pearl. Pearl says, pay attention, Diamond. Diamond says, to what? Pearl says, we won that trip as a special merit prize for the Jubilife TV Comedy Grand Prix, but nothing made any sense from the minute we got here. Diamond says, hello? I'm the one who said there's something strange about this from the get-go. I mean, why do our prize tickets say all that weird stuff about a mission, huh? Pearl then says, I'm not talking about the trip, I'm talking about her. And he sees Pearl Platinum as super snooty, and we see a montage of them traveling around. Pearl saying, she won't tell me her name, no matter how many times I ask, and if she's our guide, how come she dishes out all the orders? Soon as it got dark, she ordered us to come here, and this is a crazy expensive luxury hotel. Hotel Jubilife. They see and that's a Staravia? Staraptor. There we go, Staraptor. Staravia is the previous evolution. Why do I get the names confused for this one? Freaking Golden Star Laravia on the top of the hotel. As they look out the window, I was going to call him Lucas. Diamond says, you only stayed in Twin Leaf and Sand Gem before. I've seen this place on TV. Never dreamed I'd be a guest here myself someday. Woohoo! Pearl says, that girl is hiding a secret, and I'm gonna uncover it. Diamond questions, how? Pearl says, she's staying on the rooftop suite. I sent my Chatler up to spy on her. Diamond says, what? As he's about to eat some chips, Pearl takes Diamond and says, it'll be fine. Come on, let's practice our routine until Chatler gets back. Diamond says, right now? Pearl says, come on, act stupid so I can hit you. Diamond says, huh? Pearl says, but first, put down that snack. And he smacks away the chips. Well, Diamond says, what? Oh, God, it's a running joke. No! Meanwhile, on the rooftop suite, we see Chatler making its way into Platinum's place, opening the window, sneaking in while we see Platinum having high tea. There's a ringing on her telephone. She answers. Oh, it's Sebastian saying, "Milady!" Platinum questions Sebastian, while Sebastian says, "You've just finished your first day on the road, haven't you? Oh, my dear sweet lady." While Chata thinks, "Lady, lady." Platinum says, Sebastian." Sebastian says, "I know I'm being a bother, but I just wanted to reassure you that I'll always protect you, even when we're apart. I swore on my honor." Chata thinks, "Protect, protect." Platinum says, I know, but I'm fine, Sebastian. I've already met up with my 2 bodyguards. Yes. I left Professor Rowan's trunk with the concierge, but as Chatot exits her room, I have to assume it encounters Bidoof? What are Bidoof doing that high up? Meanwhile, with Diamond and Pearl, Pearl says, "Speaking of Pokemon," Diamond says, "Speaking of Pokemon," Pearl says, "They sure have a lot of special abilities, don't they?" Diamond says, "That's right." Pearl questions, "How many of them do you know?" Diamond says, "Not a one." Pearl says, "What? You don't remember a single one?" Diamond says, "Yep, I don't. That's my disability." Oh, God. Pearl says, "Oh, come on. You must remember at least one. You'll need to in battle." Diamond says, "I will." Pearl says, "For instance, my favorite is Pickup." Diamond says, "Oh, I know that one. Our guide has one of that, right?" Pearl says, "Idiot, that's a Piplup. I'm talking about an ability, not a Pokemon." Meanwhile, Chimchar is over on the side laughing it up. Both Diamond and Pearl are shocked. Pearl says, "Hey, Chimchar likes our routine. At least Pokemon think we're funny. You really like our comedy? BS forever." Diamond says, "Wait, Pearl, looks like..." We see that Chimchar was laughing because Turtwig's leaves were rustling at its feet. Pearl says, "You mean it was just getting tickled by Turtwig's leaves? Oh, well, anyway, since these Pokemon chose us, I guess we have no choice but to take care of them, so how to give mine a nickname. I know, I'll call you Chimler." The Pokédex then opens and reads out, "Chimchar, the chimp Pokemon. Its agility scales sheer cliffs to live atop craggy mountains. its fire is put out when it sleeps. As Pearl reads this, he says, look, a bunch of data about this Pokemon. So that's what this thingamabob does. Says here that Chimchar climbs fast. I like speedy Pokemon. Compared to that one of yours, as we see Turtwig, who slowly gets up and slowly moves across the way. Pearl says, what's the opposite of speedy? As Turtwig comes over and starts munching down on some snacks too. Yep, that's definitely Diamond's Pokemon. As Diamond's Pokedex opens up, it reads out, Turtwig, the tiny leaf Pokemon. Made from soil, the shell on its back hardens when it drinks water. It lives along lakes. Diamond says, you're a Turtwig. How about I call you True? My name's Diamond. Nice to meet you. As he feeds Turtwig a cookie, suddenly there's a scream up above. Pearl peeks out the window saying, did you hear a scream? Was that our guide? I hope she didn't find Chatler. They race out of their hotel room with Pearl saying, we have to make up a good story to explain this, Dia. Come on, let's go. But as they get inside of her apartment, they find Bidoof just going at everything, gnawing away with their big old buck teeth. Oh, yeah, I did think their teeth looked a little bit weirdly longer than usual. As Chatot comes towards Pearl, he says, Chatler, are these Pokemon the reason she screamed? He brings out his Pokedex and says, let's see. Well, they're called Bidoof, but there's no other information, unfortunately. You gotta battle them first. Pearl goes, huh? How come their front teeth are so much longer than the ones in the picture on my Pokedex? He then turns saying, Dia, only to see Diamond and his Pokemon still making their way. Pearl thinks, how did he get all the way back there? But Platinum calls out help, and she's caught up in the rush of Bidoof. Oh no, get her before the beaver get to her. Well, Bidoof. Get her before she gets Bidoofed. Pearl calls out, I'll save you. Chatler, Fury Attack. Shimler, Ember, I guess. Yeah. He's looking at his Pokedex just While Chatot unleashes a Fury Attack against one Bidoof, Chimchar unleashes Ember against another. But the Bidoof just tanked the attack like it ain't nothing. Pearl says, oh no, it didn't even faze them. As Platinum is run over by the Bidoof. Well, Pearl was also stomped over. He says, they stampeded into the hallway. Dia, do something. Oh, they've run away with Platinum. Pearl says, you gotta stop these Bidoof. Diamond says, huh? And then he runs in the opposite direction with his Pokemon. All of them still chowing down on cookies. Or I guess they're like rice cakes or something. Diamond says, how? Lax? As the Bidoof are just going at it. They're everything. Usually, I believe beavers, because in order to keep their teeth from growing too long, because normally they have to gnaw on things in order to keep them filed down. As Diamond and his Pokemon watch the others just go into town, Diamond says, check out those buck teeth. They're biting through the walls, floor, and furniture, through wood and stone like butter. But then they notice that Turtwig's having a bit of a hard time biting up his cookie. And Diamond says, I've got an idea. They then make their way to the elevator and call out, Yoo-hoo, Bidoof, this way. And as all the Bidoof rush them into the elevator, Pearl looks over saying, Dia herded all the Bidoof into the elevator. He's bringing them up to the top floor. What are those dopes thinking? And he just thinks of them being dum-dums. He races up the stairs saying, I hope his Pokemon are all right. As we see the Bidoof going at the statue. But, the statue's okay. I guess it's too hard for them to gnaw on? What's the statue made out of? As we see Diamond and Platinum just kind of hanging out. Just all cool. Diamond yells out, yo, hello, Pearl. About time you showed up to help. Well, Pearl says, what happened, Dia? How did you calm down all those Bidoof? And Diamond says, bringing up his Pokedex, which reads, Bidoof, the plump mouse Pokemon. It gnaws on trees and rocks with its strong front teeth and lives in nests near the water. Diamond says, well, I figured out when I was looking at my Pokedex, Bidoof chew on hard wood and rocks to keep their teeth from getting too long. I figured these Bidoofs must have lost their habitat when the hotel was built. So their front teeth started growing out of control, which made them unhappy. But Bidoof's teeth can bite through anything. What could possibly be hard enough to stop them in this hotel? I remember that weird metal statue on the roof. When I saw True having a tough time chewing through its cracker, technically we didn't battle them, but I defeated the Bidoof. and the loser has less tooth. You pass a Bidoof on the head and saying, hey, that rhymes sort of. And while Pearl is completely taken off guard, Platinum in the back starts to giggle. And Pearl immediately turns, just looking at it, saying, hey, did you just giggle? And stone face Platinum says, certainly not. Oh my god. Pearl says, you laughed. I heard you. Platinum says, I expressed no mirth. Upon my honor. Oh god. Meanwhile, Pearl then looks over to the Bidoof going at the statue, saying, I thought the statue was just gold-plated, but look, it's all shiny yellow in the inside too. Could it be solid gold? Should we be letting them chew it up? Diamond says, isn't it worth it if it wears their teeth down? Pearl says, sure, now that their incisors are back to normal, they won't destroy the hotel and, well, we'll all live happily ever after. And then he uses the Bidoof to smack in Diamond's face, saying, not, you idiot! What do you figure a solid gold statue like this costs? What if we have to pay for it? What'll we do? We can't afford a gold ring, let alone this much ore. Well, Diamond goes over to the wobbly Pearl, saying, Pearl, keep it together. Platinum says, there's nothing to worry about. Pearl says, what do you mean, nothing? Platinum says, because I own this hotel. And Diamond and Pearl freak out, going, what? Okay, I can't get over the weird way that Munchlax's ears keeps looking. It's the one thing that keeps throwing me off, because I'm used to like the big ears on this Munchlax, but they keep drawing the ears so tiny on the Munchlax. I'm like, why do the Munchlax look so weird? It's one of the few Pokemon I'm used to in this series, and yet the way they draw the ears keeps throwing me. Chatot then says, lady, protect, protect. Well, Pearl says, Chatler, where do you learn to say that? And is there an unknown figure watching them? Hard to say. And how did the Bidoof get all the way up to Platinum's room? That's the weird part. I think that someone's trying to sabotage her. Oh, I thought they were actually going to get one of the Bidoof. Oh well. Alright, Chapter 3, Extreme Luxio. We have the two bodyguards saying, we're pros, right? Yep, pros. And we're under orders to protect the Berlitz family daughter until she reaches Mount Cornet. But, as they're riding around on bikes, they say, but she is a no-show, and we've been waiting here forever. What is the meaning of this? How should I know? There must be some sort of miscommunication. We have to get to the bottom of this. We must carry out our mission. Come on, let's find our client. And they take off on the bikes. Meanwhile, pick up with Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum and their Pokemon making their way downtown, walking fast. Faces pass and they're Mount Cornetto bound. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I'll leave the comedy to these chuckle fucks. As the bodyguard said, let's find the lady. Platinum thinks to herself, I was rather anxious when that herd of Bidoof attacked last night, but those two proved to be effectual bodyguards. I shouldn't have assumed they were incompetent just because we're the same age. Enter a random, what is this? Luxio. Okay. See, it's one of the middle evolutions that I'm not too familiar with. Because I know Shinx and I know Luxray. The middle evolution, I'm just like, yeah, no, I got nothing. I know Luxray very well. We'll get to that though. But it's already at its secondary evolution. Luxio appears before our group, growling at them. Pearl says, who are you? You want a piece of us? While Diamond says, I don't think so. You're not stealing my candy. Oh, really? And then it just pauses and then leaps into the brush. Pearl calling out, hey, what was that all about? Diamond says, maybe it doesn't have a sweet tooth. Platinum remembers Sebastian's words, the outside world is full of dangers. Danger. Platinum thinks to herself, I guess Sebastian was right after all. It was a good idea to bring along bodyguards. Thank you, Sebastian. Suddenly, Diamond starts saying, hey, lady, are we going the right way, lady? The lady says, yes. Diamond then says, we'll reach Oakburg if we keep going straight, right, lady? The lady says, that's correct. Diamond then says, I'm hungry. When's lunch, lady? The lady says, we'll eat at noon, naturally. Diamond then says, and one more thing, lady. And Pearl says, stop it. Why do you keep calling her lady? Diamond says, that's what your Chatler calls her. He flaps around like the Chatot saying, lady, and Chatot says, lady. Chatot then says, protect. Well, Diamond says, protect. Pearl says, that's true. It's the only thing it said since it got back from her hotel. Is Lady this girl? Diamond says, duh, it's her name. Pearl says, I get it. Her name is Lay, and her last name is D. He then slams Diamond into the ground, saying, of course that's ridiculous. Don't try to think. You're just sticking around until I figure out her secret anyway. Diamond says, what do you do when you do? Pearl says, I'll sell it to Jubilife TV, of course. It'll be all over the news. Diamond says, huh? Pearl says, whatever, come on, let's rehearse our routine while we walk. Oh god, here it comes. Diamond says, what? Pearl says, now act stupid so I can hit you. Diamond says, what? And Pearl says, put down that snack, smacking the snack out of his hands. Diamond says, huh? We then cut over to Sand Gem Town at the Pokemon Research Lab, Rowan's Pokemon Research Lab, where Mr. Burlette says, welcome back, Professor Rowan. Professor Rowan says, ah, yes. Things have finally calmed down now that the Jubilife TV festivities are over. Time to reopen the lab. Now then, have you prepared the report about the different markings of male and female Pokemon that I'll be using at tomorrow's conference? Ah, this is when we started going a lot deeper into similar Pokemon, but male and female having a little bit of a difference. Mr. Burlette says, of course. I've also prepared a file on the different markings in the eastern and western areas of the Sinnoh region. Rowan looks through the data saying, that was quick. And now for my most important research topic. And he looks at a report that says evolutionary aspects of 90% of Pokemon. Interesting. Meanwhile, with Diamond and Pearl's routine, Pearl says, speaking of Pokemon. Diamond says, speaking of Pokemon. Pearl says, there are lots of different types of Pokemon. Diamond says, there sure are. Pearl says, fire type, water type, grass type. Diamond says, electric type. Pearl continues on saying rock type, poison type, ground type. Then Diamond says candy type. Pearl says, that's not a type. Don't give the Pokemon Company any ideas. I mean, some people would call the candy type fairy types. Pearl then says, each type has its strengths and weaknesses. Some attacks are stronger than others. Do you know what that's called? Diamond goes, spicy, not very spicy, super spicy. Pearl says, can't you think about anything besides food? Try to remember, okay? Diamond says, oh, I know, it's called complementary flavors. Pearl says, right, you dolt, and smacks him. Pearl says, maybe that last joke is too subtle. And Platinum on the Ponyta's watching and thinks, is this strange back and forth part of their bodyguard training regimen? Even so, he then says, isn't that a bit harsh? Pearl questions, what? Platinum says, training or no, all that hitting must hurt. Pearl says, training? Oh, you mean our routine? Don't worry, it sounds worse than it is. Diamond says, I beg to differ, Pearl. Pearl says, you see, the hitting creates a kind of rhythm. With the intensity of each whack, I encourage my partner. These punchlines come from the heart. All Diamond's in the back saying, your heart could beat more softly. Chimchar starts giggling, and Pearl turns saying, Chimler, I'm serious, don't laugh. But we see that Chimchar is being tickled by some of the grass. Pearl says, oh, the stalks are just tickling its back. But as Pearl looks into the grass, is it that Luxo? Yep, there it is again. He comes leaping. This Luxo just keeps leaping out of the grass. Pearl says, whoa, not again. That's the Pokemon we saw in front of the hotel. Is it following us? He looks up in his Pokédex and says it's a Luxo, but there's no data. Oh, why do these Pokemon keep going after Platinum? The Luxo grabs Platinum by her scarf, pulling her off of the Ponyta and into the tall grass. Pearl says, hey! Diamond says, lady, no! Platinum screams as she's carried off by the Luxo. Oh! Chatot and the others follow with Chatot saying, protect, protect! While Pearl says, wait up! As they make their way to Platinum they see a gang of Luxo and Shinx. Oh, a pride of Luxo and Shinx, as Pearl says. Diamond questions, are they hunting lady? Pearl says, I don't think so. Look closely. The one who looks eager to fight is the Luxo we met in front of the hotel. The others are just watching, like this is some kind of show or something. It's almost as if this Luxo wants to fight us in front of the rest of the pride to show them how tough it is. Diamond says, is that why it captured Lady? That must be it. True, Lax, distract the Luxo while rescue Lady. In comes Munchlax and Turtwig. They all try to go in different directions, but they're all beat back by the Luxo. Pearl looks over them, saying, you ought to take into account how slow you are. Oh, they were too slow to move. Pearl then notices the Luxo calling out to the rest of the Pride, trying to brag about its deeds. Pearl says, I knew it. It's bragging about how it beat Dia with one blow and wants to impress the others. Diamond gets up saying, looks like it's some kind of outcast. I wonder why. Pearl thinks for a second, but then the Luxo tries to step to him while Pearl jumps back saying, whoa. He brings out a Chimchar saying, attacking Dia and his Pokemon wasn't enough? Chimler, defensive maneuvers. And Chimchar and Chatot go in. Pearl says, if that poor Luxo wants to get back with its pride, we'll help it, right, Dia? Diamond says, great minds think alike. But how? Pearl says, maybe the Pokédex has a clue. Give us a hint. And as he looks at his Pokédex, he says, looks like, it's claws. Are they like whittled down? Because it's fighting against the Chimchar and Chatot. Pearl says, that's it. He grabs Diamond and says, I get it now, Dia. Luxo communicate with their pride by sending electrical impulses through their forepaws. That means Luxo communicate through a kind of rhythm, just like I do in our comedy routines. Look at its paws. This Luxo is an outcast because its claws are too short to communicate with the others. Is that all? Stop! He grabs the Luxo and says, Luxo, listen up. Don't be afraid to talk to your friends, even if they don't understand you right away. It's time to go back to your pride. I'll help you. Listen to me. All you gotta do is, listen to me, all of you. It's got a disability and can't communicate as clearly as the rest of you. That's no reason to reject it. And he takes the Luxo's paws and slams it into one of the shinks. And the signal of communication races through the rest of the pride. And as Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum look on, kind of questioning this, the Luxo and shinks, use their claws to communicate with the others. And they understand. And they're all able to communicate with each other. That was actually kind of cute. That was actually a very sweet moment. I will admit, I kind of miss these kind of moments from earlier stories, because we had it in Ruby and Sapphire, but I don't know, I kind of am appreciating the journey more than anything else. And because of what was going on with Emerald, he didn't really have it. It was all the mission. But here, it's a lot of playing around and just helping other Pokemon and living in the Pokemon world, as it were. The Luxo looks back to Pearl and gives a bow as it takes off. Diamond says, looks like the message got through. Pearl says, yep, like I said, my punchlines come from the heart. And you see Platinum practicing. They stop it as she swings from the heart, much to Pearl's dismay. Pearl questions, are you practicing smacking yourself? Platinum says, no. Pearl says, you totally were. Platinum says, I was most definitely not. That's enough now. Let's be off, as she sits back on her ponytail, much to Pearl's dismay, while Platinum thinks, I'm having a great time, Sebastian. I'm so glad I took that first step out of the house. There's so much to learn in the outside world. As they make their way, Diamond says, cutting through this tall grass was a great shortcut to Route 203. You can see the entrance to the next city already. That's Orberg Gate, Pearl says, and just beyond it lies Orberg City. Meanwhile, the bodyguards have made their way to the hotel everyone else was at, and they see the statue that was chewed up by the Bidoof. The bodyguards say, apparently they stayed at this hotel last night. While the other says, how come that statue's all busted up? How come indeed? Aw, that felt like another chance to actually obtain Pokemon. I think the main thing that I'm the most depressed about is I love the exploration and eventually catching more Pokemon as you go. The thing that throws me is the fact that we haven't really been catching Pokemon. That's one of the best things about Pokemon, catching them. Alright, next up is Chapter 4. Putting a crimp in Cricketot. We pick up at the Orberg Gate inside Orberg City as our group have exited. See, this does feel like classic Pokemon anime adventures, to be honest. Pearl says, all right, we got through the Orberg Gate. We finally made it to Orberg City. Diamond, how do you have the money to keep getting all this food, dude? And he's just munching away saying, what's so special about this place anyway? Platinum says, Orberg City. According to the guidebook I got in Jubilife, Orberg is a mining town blessed with a surfite? Huh, an excess. Okay, interesting. I mean, I could get it from the context, but interesting. Of natural resources. Pearl walks in saying, natural resources? You mean like a coal mine? Which is the first thing you see when you get in there. Dang. Simon says, like you're cold? How so? And he starts just coughing and sneezing and all this. He says, I caught it already. Pearl stomps him in the face, saying, coal, not cold. Platinum continues reading from the guidebook, saying, according to this, coal is an energy source that's dug from deep underground. Long ago, plants were washed away by rain in rivers and buried deep under the ground. Earthquakes caused fissures that forced them even further down. For thousands of years, the heat from the magma, the lava at the plant's core, transformed the vegetation into coal. Thus, coal is nothing more than baked plants. That doesn't sound right, but I'll just roll with that. Diamond says, wow, I didn't know that. Well, Pearl thinks, you got some impressive tour guide skills after all. I mean, yeah. She gets to be a little Miss Know-It-All. Platinum continues reading. She seems to be overjoyed by this, saying, wow, it says here that the city's coal mines extend all the way beneath the ocean. That's incredible. Diamond starts stomping on the ground saying, whoa, so a whole bunch of veggies are getting burnt to a crisp right under our feet. Pearl says, no wonder it's so hot around here. Suddenly, is that a steam vent that they're next to, just bursts open and hits it with some hot air. But Chimchar is overjoyed by what just happened. Pearl says, what was that? Platinum says, watch out for the vents, which release built-up steam from below. You guys are lucky it wasn't too hot for you, because that could have burnt off your skin. But Turtwig seems to have gotten really hit by that. All the heat's really affecting Turtwig. Diamond comes over saying, all this heat is wilting True's leaf. I bet you're True Leaf. Oh, God. I bet you're thirsty, huh? Here, drink up. And he hands a drink over to Turtwig. He sees Piplup coughing up a storm and says, would you like a drink too, Piplup? How about a snack? A Piplup is also given the stone face routine as well, and then turns away. Oh God, yep. This feels like Dawn's Piplup, all right. Attitude problem. Pearl brings up the Pokedex saying, Piplup's too independent. Pokedex says Piplup prefers to find their own food. Piplup, the penguin Pokemon, is very proud, refusing food from people, and its thick down protects it from the cold. Oh, okay. So that's just how Piplup are. Gotcha. They say Pokemon resemble their trainers, you know. Oh, Platinum kind of ignores this, saying, let's check into a hotel for the night. Find us a suitable location, she says, pointing to Pearl. Pearl says, what? Why us? Platinum says, I need time to review our route to Mount Cornet. The least you could do is see to our sleeping arrangements. Pearl says, I still don't see why we have to book our rooms. But suddenly, that a bulldozer? Yep, a bulldozer comes right towards Pearl and Platinum. Diamond says, Pearl, lady, look out! The Piplup unleashes Bubble Beam. Oh, managing to halt it. Dang, okay. I didn't know Piplup could be that effective. Diamond says, are you all right? Platinum says, yes, thank you, Piplup. Then someone calls out, Yellow, that's enough now. Yellow? Oh, it's a Psyduck. The foreman comes up saying, what were you thinking? How many times have I told you not to play in the bulldozer? And then I got excited. I heard Yellow. I'm just like, Yellow? But no, it's a Psyduck named Yellow. The foreman gives a bow alongside his Psyduck saying, Eesh, I'm sorry. Though Pearl asks, who's Yellow? The foreman says, Eesh, that's my Psyduck's name. I'm sorry. Eesh, it just can't keep out of trouble. Eesh. So sorry. How can I make this up to you? Sorry again. Pearl thinks Psyduck's nickname so obvious. Diamond says he said yeesh 4 times and sorry 6 times. While Platinum thinks, how can he make it up to me? He then says, actually, there's something you could do. We were hoping to get a peek at the interior of the coal mine. Really? God, she's delightfully dense and eccentric too. But this is much to the shock of Pearl and Diamond. Platinum thinks, I got a whiff of coal dust in the steam that came out of that vent. Reading about coal mining is one thing, but to experience it myself, she says, clenching her fist. I want to touch the coal with my own 2 hands. I want to dig the coal with my own 2 arms. And she's just making a digging motion. Dig and toss, while Pearl is just watching. She then just calms herself down. Oh, they're all characters. Pearl then asks, are you miming digging just now? Platinum says, no, I was not. Pearl says, but Platinum says, I assure you, I wasn't. You know what? You gotta have the straight man. Oh god, it's like a bunch of the Three Stooges. The foreman. Oh, he's not the foreman. Yeah. The worker says, my supervisor, Foreman Rourke, is out today, so I can't get much done anyway. Guess it wouldn't hurt to give you a little tour of the coal mines. Yes, child endangerment. Why not? That's all you want in return. You sure? Platinum says yes. While Pearl says, alrighty then. We'll go find a place to sleep tonight like you told us. No. Diamond is taken aback by this, while Platinum says, do you honestly expect me to go down there all by myself? Pearl says, yeah, no biggie, right? Enjoy your tour, lady. Diamond follows, saying, Pearl, wait up. Are you sure it's okay to let her go alone? Pearl says, of course, let her do her digging thing. Meanwhile, we'll find a ritzy hotel in the city, a place where Her Royal Highness can kick back and relax. I don't know what word that he's saying there. It's like Diamond saying rit-sit-sits? Pearl says, whatever, don't you want to practice our show in the comfort of a deluxe suite? Diamond says, what? Pearl says, nah, act stupid so I can hit you. Diamond says, huh? But first, put down that snack. He smacks the snack out of his hands. Well, Platinum is overjoyed, saying, I'm so happy my bodyguards permitted me to go. That means it's completely safe. There is one brain cell between the lot of them, and sometimes it don't work for everyone. The worker says, come on, miss, the mine is this way. Watch your step. And then we cut to the Orberg Grand Hotel, where they're practicing their routine. Pearl says, speaking of Pokemon. Diamond says, speaking of Pokemon. Pearl says, Pokemon evolve when they grow up. Diamond says, they sure do. Pearl says, they get stronger and take on new forms. It's so cool. Diamond says, yep, you're a big fan of evolution, huh? Pearl smacks him, saying, is it that obvious? That wasn't much of a joke. Pearl says, there are all kinds of evolutionary forms. Machop evolves into Machoke and Psyduck evolves into Golduck. Diamond says, Ghastly evolves into Haunter. Pearl says, Clefairy evolves into Clefable, and Pichu evolves into Pikachu. Diamond says, Tentacool evolves into Tentacruel. Pearl says, good one. Meryl evolves into Zoomerel. Diamond says, flour and yeast evolves into bread. Cream and sugar evolves into ice cream. Pearl smacks him, saying, that's not evolving, that's cooking. God damn it. And their Pokemon are promptly asleep. They did get into a ritzy hotel. Pearl says, come on, Di, let's run through our act one more time. Diamond says, okay, I'm lonely. I miss True and Lax. I wish they'd wake up from their nap. Plus, I feel guilty staying at such an expensive hotel again. Pearl says, don't worry. It's the guy's job to manage the budget, right? If she's got a problem with it, then she shouldn't have left us in charge of choosing the hotel. Diamond says, I still think we should have stayed with her. Pearl says, she wanted to go alone. We have to give her space if she wants it. But Diamond says, haven't you noticed that she keeps getting attacked? Thank you! She keeps getting attacked by wild Pokemon. It's weird. Like someone's up to something. Starting with the Starly, then the Bidoof, and after that the Luxo. What if it happens again? Pearl says, Diamond, trust me. She has her Pokemon with her. Her Piplup stopped a bulldozer with a bubble attack. She'll be fine on her own. That Piplup's been hiding how strong it is. Diamond says, oh, you're right. It hasn't joined any of our battles so far, has it? Pearl says, nope. So we've got nothing to worry about, he says as he sits down. But enter Chatot flapping in through the window. Diamond notices while Chatot repeats, yeesh, sorry. The Orberg coal mines are to the south. Diamond says, oh, Chatler's imitating the miner guy. Chatot says, sorry. Diamond says, oh, I get it. You told Chatler to keep tabs on Lady so we could come running at a moment's notice. Great idea. Pearl says, no, though he looks a little embarrassed. Actually, I just wanted to use the coal mine as a setting for our next skit. I sent Chatler to do recon. Guess we better do our own research. Chatler, lead the way. Get moving, Chimler. You're coming with us. He grabs Chimchar out of its sleep. Meanwhile, with the tour, the worker says, and this is the slag heap, known as Mineral Hills. It's made of all the dirt we dig up from the mine. Here's a factoid for you. In the Hoenn region, they call their slag heap Petroleum Hills. Platinum says, oh, how odd. The worker says, yeesh, I'm sorry, so sorry. Are you bored to tears? Platinum says, oh no, not at all. The worker says, well, I've covered most everything, while his Psyduck is once again sneaking onto another piece of equipment. Why is this thing so obsessed? Platinum says, huh, what's that big hole over there? The worker says, oh, that, nothing important. The coal miners around here say, only for his Psyduck to be in another friggin' bulldozer and just driving it away. It's just obsessed. The worker says, hey, Yellow, you mangy Pokemon, wait! Uh-oh. But Platinum is hearing a weird sound from that mine entrance, saying, what's that sound? It's so musical. She approaches with Piplup and enters, saying just a little further, only to run into a horde of Cricketot and Cricketoon, who immediately go on the attack. Why? Why? They're all riled up. Why? Piplup tries to step in, while enter Pearl and Chatot and Chimchar. As he says, is this the right spot, Chatteler? And he sees the goings on where Piplup is just giving it its all. But as Chatot and Chimchar try to go in, Pearl holds them back, saying, no, Chimler, stop, Chatler. Don't go down there. The battle is already over. And Piplup kind of passes out. Pearl saying, Lady and Piplup took all these Pokemon down by themselves. Must have been an epic battle. Lady, did your Piplup feel ashamed because it didn't join in the battles before? Platinum says, yes, I'm certain that's what's been bothering Piplup. That's why Piplup fought so hard this time. Piplup was given to me so that I could monitor its development over the course of my journey, but its instinct is to do battle. And as Platinum tries to reach for Piplup, Piplup shoves her hand to the side. Aw, you tough little bastard. The worker comes down, holding its friggin' Psyduck by the tail, saying, they came down here looking for a Pokemon battle. Eesh, I'm sorry. Platinum says, excuse me? The worker says, what is the is Platinum saying, excuse me, but what is this strange cavern for? The worker says, it was all Foreman Rourke's idea. He didn't just want to mine coal here. He wanted to build a Pokemon training ground. Pearl says, so that's why these Pokemon are so eager to do battle with you. They must have thought you were their new sparring partner. Stopping a bulldozer is pretty impressive, but this is no walk in the park either. Platinum says, but for some reason, Piplup's pride is hurt again. Oh. Why? You stood up to a horde of Pokemon all by yourself. Platinum says, if only I could do something to help Piplup feel good about itself again. The worker says, why don't you sign up for a match at the Pokemon gym? Platinum says, a Pokemon gym? So she just happens to start earning badges? Are you kidding me? Huh. Then again, that just seems to be the pattern. You go from someone who wants to earn badges to someone who doesn't really want to earn badges, because let's face it, Red wanted to earn badges, Yellow wasn't about badges, and Gold didn't earn any badges because he wasn't really facing off with any leaders. Silver stole all the badges he wanted. Sapphire wanted to earn badges. Emerald, he earned the symbols, but they're not badges, and he didn't really care about them like that. Well, Platinum, earning badges is just kind of a side thing. So you got some who want them, some who don't. I guess if they were all like that, it'd be a little boring, but it's just weird that she doesn't even know anything about that. The worker says, you don't know? Pokemon gyms are places to battle your Pokemon. Trainers go there to challenge the gym leaders and test their skills. If you impress a gym leader, Pearl says Piplup will forget all about this battle. Great idea. Platinum says, what do you say, Piplup? Would you like to give it a whirl? And Piplup stands on its feet, at the ready to throw some hands. Oh my goodness. Platinum says, good. Now let's get to our hotel. Which one did you choose? Pearl says, Platinum questions, well? Pearl says, we reserved the deluxe celebrity suite at the Oreburg Grand Hotel? Platinum is shocked, saying, oh my. She then says to herself, another low-class hole in the wall. Our bodyguards trained to keep a low profile? Pearl says, what? The announcement comes over in the area saying, paging all miners, report to the mine entrance at once. Oh, Rourke is back. Oh, and he's got a little Craniodose. Meanwhile, Diamond, slow as ever. Honestly, he reminds me of myself. I'm not that fast of a walker either. He says, Pearl, lady, where'd everybody go? Okay, well, I guess we're gonna start earning some badges. Though, I guess she's gonna make that her side mission along the way. How odd. Alright, it's been a long video because that first chapter was a long one, but here we are at the final video of this episode. Chapter 5, Conk in Craniodos's Cranium. We pick up at 5 p.m. at the Orberg Grand Hotel, where everyone is in the lobby. Diamond is asleep while Pearl is pacing about. His Pokédex starts to go off, telling him that Platinum is nearing. Pearl says, "Hey, Dia, wake up. She's here." Diamond says, as he wakes up. Platinum comes down in the elevator with her Piplup. They turn off their devices, and she puts on a headband reading "Victory" as Platinum says, "Let's begin. Share your fighting techniques, all of them." Tata says, "Begin, begin." And Pearl says, "Chimler, go." And Chimchar and Piplup go in to face off. Okay, so a little bit of training. Diamond says, Lady and Piplup have started their training. Yesterday, before we knew it, we flash back to Rourke's arrival to all of his men as they say, "Hey, it's Rourke." And Rourke enters with his Craniodose saying, "I'm back." Yep, I remember Rourke. He was a nice guy. Kind of average, but nothing bad about that. Says, "Thanks for handling things at the mine while I was gone, guys." His men say, "No prob. So how was your trip?" Rourke says, "Well, my relative from Eterna gave me a tour of the underground. I had such a blast. I ended up staying much longer than I planned. Check out all these fossils I dug up. A skull, dome, armor, root, and claw." His men say, "Wow, amazing." Rourke says, "Well, these aren't the reason I'm so late. I stopped by Kanalov Cave, too." His men say, "You saw your father, too?" "Right, his dad." It's actually wild that they're gym leaders in the same area, because usually, a relative will usually take over the same gym as their father, their parent or whatever, and grandparent. But no, this is the one situation where you have a gym leader who runs the same gym, who runs a different gym from their parent, who's still a gym leader too. Because I know in Sword and Shield, you had, what was the one lady's name? Melanie? Melanie, yeah. And her son, which is Gordy. Wait, she has a daughter and 3 other sons? My God. Oh, dang. Yeah, she looks good for a woman, 4 kids. And she's only in her 30s, too? Melanie. Rourke says, "Yep, I visited him, too. He said he had something urgent to tell me. He's kind of dramatic that way." He then spots Platinum saying, "Oh, who's the young lady?" The worker from before with the Psyduck, who is obsessed with bulldozers, who is still trying to go for one, says, "Yeesh, I'm sorry, Rourke, forgot to tell you. She wants a gym battle." Rourke says, "No problem. Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you traveling through?" Platinum says, "Yes." Rourke says, "How about the day after tomorrow? Does that work for you?" Platinum says, "That would be fine." As Piplup's facing off with the Craniodose like, "I'm gonna beat that booty." Rourke says, "All right, come by whenever you're ready." Platinum says, "Will do." And as Rourke heads off with his men, Platinum thinks, the day after tomorrow. While Diamond has finally arrived saying, "Hey, there you are. I've been looking all over for you." Oh, man. Diamond then thinks Piplup fought hard to protect the lady, but didn't have the endurance to win the day. To redeem Piplup's reputation and regain its self-confidence, Piplup's going to battle Orberg gym leader Rourke. He then says, "But Pearl, are you sure they should train with us?" Diamond says, "It's not like we have any special fighting techniques to teach them." Pearl says, "Dia, Diamond, how do I put this? I've always admired determination. I used to think I was strong-willed, but I've never seen anything like the passion burning in Piplup's eyes when Lady said they would battle the gym leader. I used to think Piplup was too arrogant to handle failure, but now I admire it. That Piplup's got heart. That's why we have to help. We're going to make Piplup's dream of victory come true. That's it, lady. Keep it up." As Piplup unleashes bubble on Chimchar, which, dang. Platinum says to Piplup, "Dodge your opponent's attack, now swing around from behind and use Peck." And Piplup does just that, dodging out of Ember from Chimchar and hitting it in the back with a Peck attack. Pearl then uses a potion on Chimchar saying, "Great job. By the way, dear, remember how worried you were about Lady getting attacked? Looking like she's more capable than you thought, right?" He says to Platinum. Platinum says, "Right. Fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats fire. That's how types compatibility works." Diamond says, "That's right." Platinum says, "I've learned a lot from my reading. I used to read at least 10 books a day." Oh, God. Nerd. Diamond says, "Whoa, I fell asleep after 3 sentences." Platinum says, "But it isn't the same. Reading about something isn't like experiencing it for yourself," which is true. I respect that mindset. And Piplup's just over in the corner jabbing, just like, let me at him, let me at him. Oh, Pearl says, all right, now let's put True up against Piplup. And Diamond says, what? So I have to give the orders? Pearl says, of course, just fighting Chimler isn't enough practice. You're an actor, pretend you're a gym leader. You're gym leader Rourke. Diamond says, huh? Pearl says, hurry up, Piplup's waiting. Diamond says, huh? And Pearl says, and put down that snack. Diamond says, huh? And he smacks the snack out of his hands. Diamond even has a little Rourke mask on his head. Ah, that's good. Oh, dang. You even have a moment where Piplup's taking on both Chimchar and Turtwig at the same time. Hot diggity. Diamond says, are you okay, lady? Want to take a break? Platinum says, no. He then thinks to herself, I'm so lucky. Not many amateurs get a chance to be coached by such professionals. I couldn't be more grateful. And Piplup is sure to regain its self-confidence. Kind of worried about this. I mean, training's training no matter what, but, man, they're not really pros. But then again, they're fighting starter against starter, so, training against someone who's more your level. We then cut over to Sand Gem Town, where I'm not sure who's saying it, but someone says, this is the list of materials, right? Rowan then comes back in his chair, tapping his shoulder, saying, let's take a break. There are snacks in the fridge. Mr. Burlett says, okay, Professor Rowan. And as they're going to Rowan's going to town on them snacks. He says, I wonder where your daughter is now. Mr. Burlett says, that's an excellent question. To be honest, I'm not really worried. My daughter is at an age when she's ready to explore the world. That's why I left things up to her bodyguard's discretion. If she wants to try something new and they deem it to be safe, they'll let her jump right in. If they think it's dangerous, they'll hold her back. Rowan says, I see. That's a good system. Are you going to eat all that? Mr. Burlett says, help yourself. And Rowan just downs Burlett's snack, saying, now then, ready when you are. Mr. Burlett says, I'm all set. Let's go. What are they working on? Oh, and they take off. Rowan says, the conference is in Catalog City, right? Mr. Burlett says, yes. Oh, they then pick up with the routine. Pearl says, speaking of Pokemon. Diamond says, speaking of Pokemon. Pearl says, each city has its own gym. Diamond says, they sure do. Pearl says, and every gym leader has his or her own catchphrase. Rourke is called, I'm Rourke the Rock. Diamond says, huh? Call Rourke the Ross, like the Ross Berry? Pearl says, clean your ears. I said rock, not Ross. Rock is a rock as in stone because he's good with rock types, Natch. Diamond says he is. Pearl says most gym leaders focus on one type. They become specialists in their field. Diamond says, you mean they're all specialists in grass type Pokemon? Pearl says, not that kind of field, as he tosses the Ross Berry at him. Meanwhile, Platinum is still, training up the storm, saying, go Piplup, go Piplup, go Piplup. Diamond says, lady's giving it her all, isn't she? Pearl says, she sure is. In the time it took us to practice our comedy routine, she got through the entire training regimen we assigned her. The next day at the Pokemon gym. Oh, man, that's an elaborate looking gym. Man, not really used to that one. That's a good looking gym though. Pearl says, so this is the Orberg gym. Diamond says, I've never been inside the gym before. Suddenly the statue out front, which you don't normally see them in the manga. They don't usually show the signature statue that's at the front of each gym. The statue says, welcome young trainers. Which of you seeks to do battle? Platinum says, that would be me. The statue says, allow me to explain the rules. You may only use 2 Pokemon. You may choose one of the following battle formats: Switch-In, Elimination, or Double Battle. Platinum says, I choose Switch-In. The statue says, very well then. Take the stairs and cross the Successor's Bridge to journey deeper into the cave. Rourke awaits you there. Platinum says, understood. As she makes her way in, a young trainer appears with his Geodude, which kind of takes Platinum off guard. The statue says, oh, I forgot to mention, Rourke won't be your only opponent. If you cross the trainer's pass, you must battle that trainer as well. Pearl says, what? Platinum says, this is going to be tougher than I thought, but we can't give up now. Piplup? Piplup goes in. Diamond and Pearl cheer for her from the sidelines. Pearl saying, are you going to use Pound? Go with Bubble. Diamond says, you can do it. Although the statue says, you two aren't competitors. What's your business here? Diamond says, Pearl says, we're in her corner. We're her coaches. The statue says, giving advice during the battle would be unfair. Get out. And another thing, eating and drinking isn't allowed in the gym. And they're tossed out. Aw, I thought they'd at least be able to watch. Then again, yeah, in most situations, because it's usually someone journeying solo, they don't really get to see most of the gym battles. Right. Yeah, this is definitely not like in the anime. Diamond says, "What now, Pearl?" Platinum says, "We didn't come all this way just to wait outside in the cold heat. We gotta find a way to watch the match." While Chatot repeats, "Get out!" as they make their way around the corner. Diamond says, "Pearl, I found a window." Pearl says, "Perfect. Stand on top of my shoulders." Diamond says, "What?" As Pearl is trying his best, even gnawing on the side of the panel. He says, "Well, see anything?" Diamond says, "Yep." Pearl says, "Whoa." Oh no. Diamond says, "Whoa." Pearl says, "What? What?" Diamond says, "It's amazing, Pearl. Lady got through the maze already and defeated a lot of trainers along the way. She's already facing off with Rourke, but I can't make out a word they're saying." Oh, you can vaguely make it out. Rourke says, "Who are you?" Platinum says, "My name is..." I guess I'm kind of giving it away by like saying your name, but it's like, dude, it's Platinum. What else would it be? Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Come on. I guess I feel like maybe it was a secret because it hadn't been released. I don't get what the running gag is with her name being obscured. Was there some deeper reason why her name kept being not being said? No, I can't really find anything as to why they chose to go with this. I guess, this is all about comedy, so of course you'd have a running gag. Rourke says, "All right then, let's begin." He sends out Craniados while Platinum sends out Piplup? I'm saying like the wrong thing at the end. They both say, "Go!" And the two crash. Craniados uses Shockwave, which would actually be very effective against a Piplup. Rourke says, "That was clever, using water type against my Craniados. I am a rock expert after all. However, I anticipated just such a strategy," which is always good to know. If you have a weakness, at least have something that can counter what would usually take you out immediately. That's why my first move was an electric type attack. That was quite effective against your Piplup. My victory is close at hand. Piplup gets back to its feet, while Rourke recalls Craniados, saying, "Time for a swap, Craniados." Platinum thinks his attack used type capabilities to his advantage, but the whole reason we're fighting in this gym is to restore Piplup's confidence. If I don't win with Piplup, then this whole battle will be pointless. Piplup, time for a change. And so she sends in she sends in Ponyta to clash against Rourke's Onyx. Rourke says, "Rock versus fire, eh? That's an auspicious match. Onyx, double edge." And Ponyta is sent flying. Platinum looks at her Pokédex, saying, "Double edge, a powerful yet risky rush attack, with the drawback of dealing damage to the attacker as well as the target." Rourke says, "That's right, but my Onyx's rock head makes it impervious to recoil damage." Using special abilities in order to use high power moves. Rourke says it's time to put on the pressure. He has Onyx use Stealth Rock, which will damage any Pokemon that'll... Wait, no, I think I'm thinking of something different. No, that is it. A non-damaging rock type move. It's the entry hazard. Yeah. Okay, so it was what I was thinking about. I'm just like, Stealth Rock, doesn't that make it so that if she brings out her next Pokemon, Stealth Rock's gonna hit that Pokemon? So he's just getting geared up for the switch up that'll happen once he takes out Ponyta. Meanwhile, I love that Munchlax, who's on the bottom, is still eating. Turtwig on top of Munchlax is sleeping, while Pearl is the only one struggling. I also love that Chatot is trying to hold Diamond up in the air. Pearl asks, "What's happening now?" Diamond says, "Rourke's Onyx just used Stealth Rock." Pearl says, "Oh no, Stealth Rock doesn't attack the Pokemon out on the field. He goes after the one switching in, meaning it's going after Piplup." As, you see Onyx use Slam against Ponyta, who hits the window where her Diamond is. Rourke says, "Your Ponyta is too fatigued to continue. You have no choice but to bring out your Piplup again." And so Platinum does just that. And its Piplup is immediately hit by the Stealth Rock. But Piplup uses a water attack against Onyx, which immediately takes it down. Rourke says, "Unable to battle, eh? Guess that water attack was too much for it." Which, it is an Onyx. And so Rourke brings out Craniados, saying, "Your turn again, Craniados." With the combined damage of the Shockwave attack plus Stealth Rock, my Craniados will win the day. Platinum says, don't give up, Piplup. We still got the advantage when it comes to compatibility. Rourke says, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Oh, Craniados then uses double team. And so when Piplup tries to use a bubble attack, it can't manage to hit. Rourke says, even an advantage in terms of type compatibility is worthless if you can't actually land an attack. Okay, Rourke. Yeah, that's what's up, man. People tend to kind of hate on Rourke because, first trainer out in the field and all that. And I feel like people in general don't think much about Rourke, but no, I like his design and I like his confidence here. Pearl then asks, what's happening now, Dia? Diamond says, bad news, Lady and Piplup are in a bind. Diamond says, looks like they're gonna lose. Pearl says, but we taught Lady all about compatibilities. Don't forget the pattern, and you won't lose. He then shouts, if you do, you owe us 1 million. The statue then says, hey, you there. Are you giving advice to your trainer friend again? Diamond says, what now, Pearl? It's really mad at us. Pearl says, I've got an idea. Let's rehearse our routine. You can't object to that, can it? Diamond says, what? Right here? Pearl says, yeah, come on, let's do it. Pearl says, speaking of Pokemon, because he's still holding up Diamond. Diamond says, speaking of Pokemon, Pearl says, Pokemon have all sorts of names. Diamond says, they sure do. There are so many, sometimes I mix them up. They're practically tongue twisters. Pearl says, you think so? Well, let's practice saying them as fast as we can, then. Larvitar, Charizard, Porygon, Magneton. He said Larvitar twice. Magneton, Drapion. They're doing the Pokemon rap. Diamond says, Weepinbell, Victory Bell, Azumarill. Pearl says, the Ghastly was gassy in the grass. Diamond says, the Wobbuffet wanted Wurmple's water. Pearl says, Plusle pulsed with energy. These are tongue twisters. Diamond says, Corsola and Craniados confused Clefable and Clefairy. And Platinum, listening to this, pauses, saying, what the? She then calls out for Piplup. Rourke says, not a chance. Now Craniados finishes with a, Zen Headbutt. That's a devastating move. Don't let that connect. Wait, what happened? As Craniados nears Piplup, it got tripped on something and then ran into the wall? What happened? It's been confused? Rourke is shocked and says, Craniados? Yeah, it's confused. Craniados is just ramming into rocks willy-nilly. Rourke says, it's gone completely bonkers. Craniados is attacking wildly and only hurting itself. And then it passes out. Oh, okay, I didn't even know what Piplup was doing there. Rourke says, that Piplup, I thought Piplup was just launching some sort of physical attack, but now I see it was Water Pulse, which confuses its opponent. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I only used Water Pulse a few times with some of my Pokemon, but I usually traded it out. But, it was a good attack though. Water Pulse, wow. The confusion ended up working in her favor. That's it. They were trying to clue her in about one of Piplup's abilities that would cause confusion. There it is. The statue, which it feels weird having the statue just moving around and declaring all this, but it says, Rourke's Craniados got knocked out. Victory goes to the challenger. Pearl says, they did it, as he passes out, dropping Diamond. Rourke comes over saying, I didn't see that coming. Didn't expect to lose at the last second. But I accept my defeat, and in recognition of your victory, I present you with this, the Coal Badge. Platinum thinks to herself, oh, that's right. Winners are awarded badges. Where shall I put it? She then puts it on her scarf. Piplup seems to be a little bit overjoyed as Platinum exits. Diamond says, congratulations, lady. Platinum says, thank you so much. Pearl says, and it looks like Piplup has its confidence back. Fantastic. The Piplup still has that stone cold expression. It does seem to have taken an interest in Pearl a little bit. Platinum then says, and it's all because of you two. Thanks you for that hint during the battle. Pearl says, no problem. Ow, as he's holding his injured butt. Platinum takes a moment and says, there's one more thing I wish to ask of you. Platinum says, what's that? Platinum says, when we first entered the gym and ran into the statue, you suggested I use bubble rather than pound. Pearl says, oh, right. Platinum asks, it was as if you predicted which attack the Pokemon was going to use. How is that possible? Diamond says, Pearl can sense that what attacks Pokemon are planning to use by observing their movements, which is really impressive. Jesus. Platinum says, their movement? Pearl says, only some of the time. They've gotten the knack, must have gotten the knack from my dad. Yeah, Pearl. Your dad. Yeah, about your dad. Oh, you even see the silhouette of the man. Oh, man. It's going to be interesting when we get to him. Because I didn't encounter him in the anime. And I didn't play the game, so I know who his dad is, but Platinum says, your father? Pearl says, yeah, he left when I was pretty small, so I don't remember much, but he was an incredible Pokemon trainer. But is on your training regimen like his. What I remember of it, that is. I wonder where he is now. Oh, that's what makes him immediately so capable. And why he seems so good with Pokemon. Though Diamond was the one who figured out the Bidoof situation. Even still, Platinum thinks, so Pearl's skills are a family legacy. Professor Rowan and my father certainly chose my bodyguards wisely. She then tells the two, oh, I guess I won't be needing this after all. Diamond says, won't be needing what? Oh, I thought she was talking about the badge, but she says, I had this prepared in the event that I lost. A fine of 1 million. Oh, God. Much to the shock of Diamond and Pearl. Diamond says, Pearl, I can't believe it. I've never seen this much money at once in my life. Catot says, 1 million. Pearl says, I feel dizzy all of a sudden. I'm going to my room to take a nap. And yeah, he's out cold. As Diamond takes Pearl's scarf off, he says, poor Pearl must be all tuckered out from holding me up on his shoulders during your gym battle. Platinum is shocked and says, why would he strain himself so? Diamond says, Pearl's stubborn, and he's no quitter. He was going to do whatever it took to get Piplup back on its feet. Platinum says, he's so tough. Diamond says, harder than any stone. Aww. Oh, that was cute. That was really cute. I like that. I like that. All right, and so we have reached the end. This video ended up being a lot longer than it probably should have been, but funny enough, I had a blast reading it. I placed some kind of weird criticisms here and there, but despite all of that, I mean, just in general, I like it because I love camaraderie. The one thing that always kind of made some of the stories sometimes a little hard to get through was just the character journeying all on their own. And yeah, they had their Pokemon, but one thing I loved about the Pokemon series was having somebody else traveling with you. And that's why I love the anime so much. And one of the things I really loved in the Pokemon anime was Pokemon games was the idea of having a rival who you would meet up with and you'd be able to compare. Where are you? How powerful have you become? How much stronger have you become? But the idea of having friends to share in on the journey, that I think is probably the biggest thing that makes me like this story all the more. And I love the misunderstanding, but Diamond and Pearl are very capable people and very reliable too. And despite the fact that they're not what Platinum should have gotten, maybe they are what she should get. Diamond and Pearl are showing a lot of growth in terms of their capabilities and who they are as people. And so is Platinum. They all have their shortcomings, but they all have their strengths too. And I am so interested to see how this will work going forward, especially once we get into the evil teams, as it were. But this has been fun. This is a fun little journey. I like the way this has started out. But will we manage to keep this degree of fun? Not to mention, why does it feel as though, they've said it before, for some reason, Platinum always seems to be the target of these Pokemon. Is it just coincidence, or is there more to it than that? And if there isn't, will that be a problem in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.